Hello, hello. Happy Sacred Sunday. How are you? Welcome to this super chill, relaxed, sacred Sunday. I have no makeup on. I have wet hair. I'm in my PJs and I'm doing my housework. Today is my housework day, but it's also a super sacred day where we come back to our truth. We get ourselves energized and geared up and enthusiastic and optimistic about the week ahead, which is why I've started this Sacred Sunday Detox sessions. And these sessions are going to be all about detoxing from technology, detoxing our finances, detoxing relationships, anything in our lives that is not benefiting us, how we can set boundaries, how we can go about transforming whatever it is that we've got going on or whatever it is that we're experiencing to something better, something more beneficial. So, thank you very much for joining today. Freddie is having a snooze on the bed, but he will most likely wake up at some point in the next half an hour and pester me for food. But until that time, we're going to make the most of it, make the most of the peace and the quiet. I hope you've got a tasty cup of tea and a notebook or a pen and paper to take some notes, because today's Sacred Sunday Detox, we're going to talk all about toxic money habits. Toxic money habits. When you think of the word toxic, what do you think? Right? What does toxic mean to you? I feel like toxic means that it's not beneficial. Hi, Aida! Yay! Yes, absolutely. It's chores day. Sundays is a chores day. But yeah, I'm glad that you're taking a break from it as well. Are you in your comfies? Are you in your PJs with your cup of tea? I'm a bit of a mess, but you know what? I don't care. This is how I'm showing up. This is how I'm going to do Sundays. This is how I do Sundays, right? Unless I'm going somewhere or doing an event or going to an occasion, I don't do makeup. I don't do clothing. Um, I don't do making an effort, right? Because Sundays is a day of rest. It's a chill day. Okay, so when you think of toxic, what do you think of? What comes to mind when you think of the word toxic? I think of restricted, not beneficial, just icky, like yucky, disgusting, like ugh. Like if you were to look at something or smell something toxic, like it's the opposite of what we need. It is the opposite of what we um, need to grow and be healthy, right? It's not healthy. It's not relaxing, right? It's stressful. It's not safe, right? Things that are toxic are not safe. They're not supportive. They're not, you can't trust them, right? They're not necessarily honest. They're not reliable. And things that are toxic aren't growth centered. Things that are toxic are destructive, right? They're destructive and they break apart and they're like almost like acidic, right? Like they're very like acid, very vitriolic, very something that is going to create a pain, right? So that's what I feel toxic means to me. And I want to live a long and happy life. I am here for a good time and a long time. So I want to create a lifestyle and a life that is supportive of myself and others. And I want to create a lifestyle that is very fun and relaxing and peaceful. Because I don't know about you, but I have experienced the other end of that spectrum. I have experienced not peaceful, right? I've experienced the stress. I've experienced the heartbreak. I've experienced the despair. I've experienced the worry and the anxiety and the stress and the depression and all of these things in life, and I don't want to experience that anymore. I know that if I can experience that awful stuff, then there must be an equal or opposite thing to that on the spectrum, right? So if I can experience the lowest a person could ever feel, then I want to experience the opposite of that on that spectrum, right? And when I think of my behaviors and my habits in my life, there are so many that are not supporting that life for me. They're not supporting the longevity, they're not supporting the health, they're not supporting the nourishment and the relaxation and the safety and the security. And one of the most important aspects of living in this life and having a long and happy and healthy life, despite our physical health, is our financial health, right? Our wealth health. I am a detox coach, but for the last 5 or so years, I have been working as a confidence coach and a mental health coach and counselor. And I made the transition to detoxing our physical bodies because of my own health journey, but also because I feel like we need it in this world right now at this very moment. Like I have got this like strong pull to help people live healthier, longer, happier lives. And it's not just about what we put in our bodies. It's got a lot to do with what we put in our bodies, what we put in our skin, the air that we breathe, the water that we drink. It's got a lot to do with what we're consuming, but it also has a lot to do with what we believe to be true about ourselves. So, our finances, which is something that many of us struggle with, or many of us have struggled with in the past. I have spent a lot of my life, certainly from adolescence, stressing and worrying about money. And it has taken up such a huge part of my brain. It's taken up so much mental energy and mental real estate, which is a total catchy buzz phrase and saying that everyone's saying these days. So I'm just going to say it, say it as well. But the stress about not having enough, going without, the worst case scenario, catastrophizing and feeling like you're going to be homeless, you're going to die, people are going to hate us, XYZ, all of these things take up so much energy in our minds, and that's not beneficial, that's not healthy, that's not helping us to create healthy, happy lives. So today's Sacred Sunday Detox is all about the topic of toxic money habits. I'm going to talk about our immediate habits with money. We're going to talk about things like when we open up our bank account, and the first thing, how do you feel when you open up if you do online banking, or you go to the cash machine, the cash line, and you click on your bank account and you see a number that comes up, or if you open your paper statements, what feeling do you get when you're about to do the thing and when you're doing the thing? I want to know that. And we're going to talk about impulse spending and other unhealthy habits. And then we're going to talk about our limiting beliefs, what we have got going on at our core that is not, it's not creating the life that we want. And then we're going to talk about some affirmations. We're going to talk about how we can reprogram those limiting beliefs and what we can tell ourselves instead, almost as a pattern, like we're stopping the pattern, right? I have a name for it and I've forgotten the name. I've got it in my book. What do I call it? When you have a thought stopping. I just grabbed my book there, but I don't need it now, so I've remembered what it was. Thought stopping, right? When you have a negative thought or a negative feeling that comes up, and it's something that you have like been thinking or feeling for such a long time, it like hums in the background of your consciousness, of your brain, like a broken fridge, right? You know how when your fridge isn't good, or something in your flat or your home or your house isn't working properly, and it makes a noise, and you kind of get used to the noise, and it's just there in the background until someone comes into your home and says, "What is that noise?" And you're like, "Oh, it's that thing. It's that fridge, or it's that whatever." Well, many of us have these limiting beliefs, these perspectives that have been going on in the background of our lives, like broken fridges, for so long, and they've just become a part of us. Well, once we can identify them, right? Because I feel like awareness is power. Awareness is empowerment. When you have become aware of what you've got going on at a emotional and mental level, your limiting beliefs, you can then look at them and you can decide if that is really your fundamental truth. And yes, you can feel intellectually that it is, but there might be something there emotionally because you've had this habit for so long, because you've been thinking this thought and feeling this feeling for so long. It's challenging to shift it or get it gone immediately. So what we do is we introduce thought stopping, where you're thinking a thought or you're doing your thing. For example, you're opening up your online banking and you have this wave of anxiety. You recognize that anxiety and you go, no, enough, stop, no, we're not going there. We're not doing it that way anymore. We're doing it this way. Then you introduce a new thought, a new feeling, a new perspective. And at first it feels weird and it feels strange because you don't want to believe it. You want to go back to the old way, right? But after some consistency and some patience and some time, your new belief, your new perspective will change how you feel about the thing. And once you've changed how you feel and your thoughts about how you think about the thing, then life becomes so much easier and you spend less time obsessing and you have more time to do fun things with your brain, right? You have less time to obsess over the thing that you're worried about or frightened about or have fear about, and you have more time to do fun things with your brain, right? Like looking at holidays on the internet, or like thinking about people that you love, or doing some journaling, reading a book, right? Life becomes much more open and relaxed, which is what we want because that is beneficial. That is the opposite of that on the spectrum of that toxicity, right? We want beneficial, we want health, we want security, we want safety, we want relaxation. So let's talk about that for a second, right? So we've talked about what toxic means to you or what toxic means to me. Pop in the chat if there's anything that I didn't mention of what toxic means to you. If you think of the word toxic, what comes into your body? What comes into your mind? What's the first thing you can think of? Aida, just saw your comment there. Still in my gardening clothes with weeds and reeds in my hair. Yes, girl, love that for you. I've been doing my household gardening today. I've been repotting some plants and getting my plants ready for the winter season because it's autumn here now. So, and as much as I try and keep my flat in tropical conditions for my tropical plants, I live in Scotland, so let's be realistic now. So yeah, prepping them, getting them ready for the autumn winter season. So yeah, I love that for you. I love that you've been out in nature, touching the soil. That's just so the opposite of toxic, right? That's so beneficial. It's so nurturing, right? Having your hands in nature, having your hands in the soil. I love that. I love that for you. It's great. So jealous. I wish I had it. I wish I was in my garden. But anywho, okay. So what is the opposite of toxic? When you think of toxic, what is the opposite word to that comes into your mind? When I think of what the opposite of toxic would be on a spectrum, right? Imagine you've got like a pen or a stick. On one end of the stick, you have toxic. What would be on the other end of the stick? What is the opposite of toxic? I feel like the opposite of toxic is safe, beneficial, nourishing, relaxed, healthy, nurturing, supportive, trusting, honest, reliable, growth centered, well, and positive. And when I feel what those words mean, right, if I was to sit with the word supportive, and just like breathe into that word of supportive, I feel good about it. Like I feel supported. Yeah, supportive. I like being supportive to others and I like being supported by others and I feel safe around that. Yeah, it feels pretty good. So is there an opposite word of toxic that you can like feel into that feels good right now? Aida says toxic equals oppressive, suppressive, stagnant. I love those words. I'm going to write those down because those are great. Oppressive. Yeah, toxic, like suppressive. Like you feel stuck, don't you? And you feel suppressed. Like you can't speak your truth. You can't be your true self. And stagnant. Yeah, like stagnant water. Like it's got no oxygen and it can't breathe. it's stuck. It's not going anywhere. It's not growing. It's not becoming. It's just stuck. It's staying as it is, which sometimes is fine. But when we're thinking about detoxing, we want to expand. We want to move into a more aligned version of ourselves, more aligned to who we want to be, more aligned to our true self, more aligned to source or God or whatever your belief system is, more aligned to that. Toxic money habits. Do you have, when you think about how you are with money right now at this moment in time, what is your experience? What do you do when you open up your bank account, wherever it is, right? If it's online banking, I think most people now have online banking, or you might still get paper statements, or you might go to the bank or the cash machine and click on your check your account, check your account balance. What are your habits? What do your habits with money look like? How do you feel around your money? I had some really toxic money habits for a long time until I came to terms with them, until I did some work around them. And those toxic money habits included feeling so stressed out whenever I looked at my bank account. Like it was such a horrible, stressful thing to do, because I knew that because I had impulse spent my money on things that would give me a dopamine hit. I am ADHD and autistic, and getting dopamine, dopamining, especially with the advent of internet shopping, it's a risky one. It can be very easy to, when I'm feeling overwhelmed or stressed out or down in any way, overstimulated, the thing that helps me relax is looking at pretty things on the internet and making them mine. Ordering them to my house, to my flat, and then spending that money uh, in an impulsive way. So, not really thinking about what I'm buying, not really thinking about why I'm buying it, just wanting the thing because I've convinced myself that I need the thing, or because for so much of my life I went without. It's like, I was told no a lot growing up. I wasn't allowed to, do the thing I wanted or get the thing I wanted. We never had enough money. So I was often, most of the time, told no. Now I'm a grown up. I'm like, I'm going to buy myself that nice thing because I can, because there's no one here to tell me no. And then I would end up spending that money recklessly, right? Carelessly, and then feeling a lot of guilt and shame around it, and beating myself up around it. And then when I go to check the online banking, feeling shame, feeling stress and anxiety, just not feeling great about it at all. And calling this retail therapy, right? Retail therapy, when in actual fact, I needed real therapy. I needed actual therapy that, yeah, okay, cost money, but it was far more beneficial, and it had a lot more, I could get a lot more out of it than just spending frivolously on the internet. And now that I've done some work around it, I've come to terms with that. I've realized that that's what I do. I've done a lot of work around my shame, and feeling that I am fundamentally flawed because of my ADHD, autism, whatever, or just me being flawed as a person in general. Done a lot of work around that. So now, when I want to buy the thing, I can access it further deep down and decide, do I really want the thing? Do I really need the thing? Or do I just want the thing because it's a dopamine hit? Can I find dopamine in a healthier, more beneficial way, in a less toxic way that's going to not feel good in the long run. And if I do really want the thing, then I'll get myself the thing, right? Because I've reached the stage in my life now where I have abundance, right? I'm doing better than I ever have. And I believe that we can have it all, right? Who says that we can't have it all? So if I want the thing, I'll buy myself the thing, but then I won't beat myself up about it, and I will let myself observe my bank accounts, observe and look at my money without the anxiety, with the trust and the knowledge that money is always working out for me. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a little while. Okay, so your money habits. What money habits have you got that are not beneficial for you, that are not um, supporting your well-being? What money habits have you got? Do you partake in retail therapy? Do you partake in impulse spending? Perhaps you save. Perhaps you are um, an avid saver and you don't like spending money. Spending money to you is stressful, right? Perhaps you don't allow yourself to do the things that you want to do because spending money is too hard, too tough, too challenging. It goes both ways, right? We can be overspending and then we can be underspending where we're not actually giving ourselves what we need. We're not actually giving ourselves our what our life needs because we're um so anxious about spending the money. I have experienced both of those things. I've flip-flopped from one end of the spectrum to the other, where I have felt so anxious because I spent the money, and then I felt so anxious because I didn't want to spend the money, right? Because I couldn't spend the money because I was worried that it was both of these things came from a place of lack. Both of these things came from a place of there's not enough. There's not enough to go around. There's not enough. I don't have enough. And Aida, you said they're always trying to make ends meet, right? There's not enough to go around. I'll never have enough. And what that usually comes back to when we're looking at our own belief system is I'm not enough, right? Or a fundamental belief or perspective that there's not enough in the world. And really, is that the fundamental truth? Or is that a pre-made perspective or program that has been projected onto us by other people? Aida says, I find it impossible to save because there's always a good reason or cause to give it to someone who needs it more than me. Totally. Well, we'll get to that in a little minute as well. How it sometimes feels like it's not safe to keep it, or that there's someone else who's always in more needs than us. And yes, there's always more money. There's always plenty more money where that came from. But sometimes, with a little bit of work, the feeling of having the money in the bank account, the feeling of watching the money grow, if you got it in like a savings account or an investment account, having the money there feels more secure, feels better than spending it, right? And trusting and knowing that if we don't give our money to that cause, then because everything is always working out for us, we can say the same about them. We can trust that everything is always working out for them. But that's an affirmation that we'll get to in a little while. So, what are our toxic money habits? So perhaps we give it away, right? We give our money away, or we spend it too quickly, very impulsively. We impulsively give it to others, or when someone asks us for it, we give it to them. We have very weak money boundaries, perhaps, right? We think that we owe other people the money that we have, when actual fact it's ours, and we have to set a boundary around it. Because what are we available for at the end of the day? What are we available for? What are you available for? What are you not available for? Are you available for abundance? Are you available for keeping your money and watching it grow? Are you available for feeling strong in your finances? Are you available for having fun with your finances, watching them grow and trusting and knowing that there's lots more coming into you? What are you available for? Are you available for people just swooping into your life, telling you that you need to give them money? Because that's, I would say, a toxic behavior that is not beneficial to any of us. Because how will they learn? How will other people learn how to manage their own finances and manage their own money when we're just giving them the money, right? How will they learn to support themselves if we're just always supporting them? So what are we available for? What are we not available for? And one thing that I did, which was so useful when I started healing my money habits, was I went into my subscriptions on my phone and onto my online banking, and I got rid of any auto drafts or any subscriptions that I wasn't using, because I felt like I had all this money leaving my bank account, all this money going out and out and out and out. And it felt like it was always going out, but it was very rarely coming in. I was leeching, right? I was hemorrhaging, I was leeching all this money. And one of the things that we do when we're detoxing our physical body is we look for all the places where we might be leaching hormones, or we might be leaching nutrients. So we work on those parts of the body that might be doing that, right? Like our colon and our endocrine system. So when we first start detoxing our money habits, so we can become more healthy, more relaxed, and more settled and more secure around money, we look at where we're leeching the money, right? So where are we putting it? Where are we giving our money? Right? Where are we putting it towards? Are there things that we're putting our money towards that's not necessarily aligned with who we are, with our truth, with what we want in the world? Can we look through our subscriptions on our apps or our bank account, like Netflix, or all of these kind of streaming services? Or is there anything that you're paying for that you're not necessarily using right now? I would say that is a very responsible and healthy thing to do, is to constantly be aware of where your money is going, and make your bank account your friend. Make your bank account a safe place. Make your bank account somewhere where you're not obsessively tracking, right? Not obsessing about it, but you're aware, right? You're conscious of where your money's going. It's safe for you to be aware. It's needed for you to be aware of where your money's going. It's healthy. It's healthy for you to know where your money's going. It's beneficial for you to know where your money is going. And if there's anywhere there that you feel that it's not beneficial, or that you don't use anymore, then you can cancel it. You can stop it. You can decide that that's no longer relevant anymore, or you're not using it anymore, and then that's it. Right? It's done. And I do this every couple of months. I mean, I don't really have that much going out anymore in terms of like non-business subscriptions. And I keep an eye on it, I keep an eye on it. So what other habits do you have, toxic habits, that you have that are not beneficial, that are not helping you? So impulse spending, giving money away, whenever people ask for it, right? Having poor or weak money boundaries, or not being aware of where your money is going. Checking your auto drafts or your subscriptions on a regular basis, not obsessively, but just becoming aware of where your money is going. What other toxic money habits could we have, right? Perhaps we have one too many glasses of wine and we go on the internet and we buy ourselves things and we forget that we've done it. And then we wake up the next morning and we have like an Amazon parcel, or a couple of days later, we have this random parcel that's arrived and we've completely forgot about it. and then we shame ourselves and we make ourselves feel guilty. Or we hide things from a partner, right? We buy things and we don't want the partner to know because we're, either we're trying to save money and we don't want them to know that we're spending money, or we feel shame around spending, so we hide things we've bought from them. That's quite a common one. I've worked with clients before who've struggled with that, and they've held a lot of shame around it. Well, all of these things come back to what we fundamentally believe to be true about ourselves. What do you fundamentally believe is true about yourself and money? Okay. So we'll pause the money habits for a second. We'll put a little pause sign there and we'll move on to our limiting beliefs, right? Our limiting beliefs around money. What are limiting beliefs? Limiting beliefs are our perspectives and what we believe to be true about ourselves around money, or about anything really. It can be it can be beliefs that are connected to memories, right? Things that people have said to us in the past. It can be beliefs, it can be feelings, right? It can be anxiety. It can be based on experiences that we've had in the past, right? Traumatic experiences. And many of us have money trauma, right? We have money wounds that we really need to take a look at to heal, right? And to heal is to feel, right? So many of us have cut off that emotional part of our body when it comes to money, and we're too afraid to feel into that wound or into that past experience that we had, because it was so stressful and it was so traumatic. I'll give you an example of when I lived in London. I was working in the fashion industry, and I was working a minimum wage job in London, and it was working in fashion. And I was working another minimum wage job in a restaurant, and I was working in another minimum wage job in a pub, just to make ends meet. And I was just to make ends meet, right? Just as you say. And I was so stressed out and so tired. I was working 6, 7 days a week. I would go, and I was working at two opposite ends of London. And London is a very large city. And I would have to get up at 6 a.m. to travel to my design job, and I would have to leave at 5 p.m. to get to my restaurant job at 7. And then on the weekends, I would work in the pub, and it was just so stressful. And I was paying a lot of money in rent, a lot of money in council tax, a lot of money in bills, and I wasn't living a life. I wasn't covering any of my bases and I was also drinking a lot of alcohol, buying a lot of cigarettes, trying to have like fun times, buying myself nice things because I wanted to be seen as, trendy and look nice working in the fashion industry. I had no handle on my finances whatsoever. And I remember a couple of times I would be stranded places, right? I would be stranded to try and get home. I couldn't get home because I didn't have any money in the bank. I didn't have any money in the bank account. And I didn't have anyone to call, right? I didn't have any family members I could call. So a few times I would have to walk, right? I would have, sorry, the siren. I would have to walk, right? 2, 3 hours to get home from wherever I was. And I felt such shame at that time. I felt such shame and despair and stress and fear that I would be stuck something, or something bad would happen, or I'd have to sleep on the outside in the street, or it was such a stressful, awful time. And for a long time, I would struggle to use my card to pay for anything because of the feeling of it being declined was so strong that every time I literally, every time I raised my card to pay for something or to put it in when it was chip and pin, my body, my nervous system would go back to that time of not having enough, and the fear of it declining, and me the embarrassment and the shame of me not being able to buy the thing that I needed to buy, or having to walk away from the counter and leaving my stuff there, or being stranded somewhere. It was such a strong feeling that it took me a long time. Took me a lot of not a long time. It took me a lot of coming back to it, right? The feeling would show up and I would be aware of it and I would have to sit with it and explore it and tell myself that everything's going to be okay, that I am safe, that I'm loved and I have money in the bank and it's okay and I have people to call if I need to call them and X, Y, and Z. Um, the limiting belief that I had there was that I am never going to have enough, right? That I will always be in danger, right? There's always a risk of me being stuck somewhere, or that the money could run out, or I could impulsively spend the money on something and then not have it for what I really need. Right. So with all these limiting beliefs that were going around, swimming around in my consciousness based on past experiences, traumatic experiences that I'd had with money. And there was also limiting beliefs there from things that other people had said to me, their perspectives, their limiting beliefs that they were projecting onto me about money as well, about their beliefs around money. And it was my job, right? It was things that like family members had said, right, or teachers had said, or people in the media had said, or just generally people stuff that friends had said, stuff that family members had said, right? Like, we don't have enough. There's not enough. Um, Money is the root of all evil, right? That was a big one. If you want more, then you're greedy, right? I wrote some down here. And one that was said to me often as a child growing up was, you need to work hard to get money, right? You need to give up time and freedom in return for money, in exchange for money. It's the root of all evil. You're a bad person, right? If you want more, you're greedy, right? If you want more, you should just be, even though you don't have enough, you should just be fine with what you've got, which is not enough. Okay. There's never enough. And another one was, because of all of this stress and all of these negative limiting beliefs around money, there was a big one, which was, I don't know how to get it. I don't know how to make it. I don't know where it comes from, because I have to work so hard to get it, like working all those hours in London, never having any time for myself, being so stressed out and depressed and burnt out all the time, and I couldn't even make ends meet, right? It was just this despair of not knowing how I can get more, right? Not knowing where it's going to come from. How? How am I going to get it? Where's it going to come from? How am I going to make it? So I had to look at all of those limiting beliefs. And I recommend right now, take a moment. When you think of money, what what are the first things? What are the first statements? What are the first thoughts? What are the first beliefs? What are the first feelings that come into your mind? I want you to write them down right now in this moment. And it could be things that I've talked about. There could be different things as well. So, what have people told you about money in the past? What have people projected onto you about their own money stuff? What have you picked up based on your own experiences with money, right? What have you experienced in the past? What feelings have you got around money? Stress, anxiety, feeling of not enough, being unworthy, right? The feeling of lack of safety around money, right? Because you might have to give it away, or it's like burning a hole in your pocket. It's not safe to keep the money, because if you do, someone's going to come along and take it away. What limiting beliefs, what feelings are you carrying that are not beneficial around money? That you have to work hard to get it, that you have to swap your time and your resources or your energy in order to get it, that it doesn't grow on trees, that it's hard to get, it's hard to keep. That maybe you're not that kind of person, right? Maybe you're the position that you grew up in, had you believe and had you feel like it wasn't in your destiny to become someone with money, right? That all the people around you were struggling, so that you had to struggle too in order to feel like you were included. That if you would have money, then you were almost judged, right? But at the same time, you judged others for having money, right? The girls in high school had better bags and shoes than you did, so therefore that made they were better than you and you were scum, or whatever it was. Or you had a member of your family um, buy other members of the family things, but not you, right? What experiences, what perspectives, what thoughts have we got going on around money? Aida says, never thought of boundaries in terms of money. Definitely good to know that healthy ones can be set in this area too. Absolutely. We need boundaries in all factors of our life, in all aspects of our lives. We need boundaries, and especially with our money, right? We need boundaries, especially with our money, because our money is an asset, right? Like, as is our time and our energy, right? These are assets. Our money is also an asset, and just as we have to have boundaries around our time and our energy, we also need boundaries around our money too. My first thoughts and memories of money matters are almost all negative. Family always tell me I'm useless at managing it, friends borrowing it and never paying back. Wow. Okay, great. Okay, those aren't obviously great, but it's great that you have that awareness, right? That you're creating that awareness of what you've got going on there. So awesome, right? So we're going to write all of these out. We're going to spend some time, not right now, but after this call, I invite you to look at all of your money perspectives, beliefs, and feelings, and asking yourself, is this the fundamental truth? Is this my fundamental truth? Perhaps it has been in the past, but from this moment onwards, I get to decide right now, from this moment onwards, what do I believe is true about myself, right? Can I believe that perhaps maybe in the past I was useless with money, but now, because I'm making myself aware, I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. Every day I'm getting better. I'm managing my money, at setting money boundaries, at asking for it back, or not, or saying no, right? Using excuses like I don't have it this month, right? We can do that. We can, even if it's a little white lie, right? And I know I always say, like, honesty and being truthful, but you have to set the boundaries in the best way that you know that you can, right? You have to be honest with yourself. And if someone's asking you for money and you don't you have it, but you don't want to give it to them because you don't feel like you can, because you need that money yourself, right? Because it feels better in your savings account than with them, or you know that you're not going to get it back from them if you give it to them, because at the end of the day, it's yours and you get to decide what you do with it, right? It's your asset, it's your thing, belongs to you, is a part of you. So you get to decide what you do with it, and that is no one else's right but yours. You can say, not this month, I'm afraid I can't manage it, right? And that's wide, right? That could mean anything. That could be a number of things. I can't manage it this month because maybe you just can't manage to open your phone, right? Your app, your banking app, right? Because you're busy, or whatever it is, right? I can't manage it covers a lot of different things. So, what do you believe to be fundamentally true about money? What do you want to believe to be true about money? What do you want to believe to be true about yourself? What is your fundamental truth from this moment onwards? I am getting better with money. Money does grow on trees because it's made of paper, right? And paper is made out of trees. And yeah, okay, money is a number. It's a digit on a screen now, right? So that's all it is. It's a digit on a number on a screen. So that number can go up, it can go down, it can go up, it can go down, right? Like magic, right? An extra couple of zeros can be added on the end. I'll need to work hard to get it. Is that the fundamental truth? Are there millionaires and billionaires on this planet who are doing very little and making so much money, right? When you invest money into stocks and shares and EFTs and things like that, um, your money grows without you having to do anything, right? You earn interest on it, a high interest savings account. You earn interest on that money without having to do anything, right? So you can get money without having to do anything. It's just like having to give up your time and your freedom for money. This has been a challenging one for myself to come to terms with because I my time and my freedom are my most valuable assets, right? I would say that they're more valuable than money. My time and my freedom and my health and my energy are extremely valuable assets, especially because I've had health challenges in the past and I've not had the freedom and I've perhaps not had the time. I've not had the health. So these things are such valuable assets, and I don't want to have to give these things up in order to make money. So I can decide that my fundamental truth about myself and about money is that I can use my time, I can use my energy, I can use my health, I can use my assets to grow my other assets, right? To grow money. I can work smarter. I can learn how to do things in a way that's going to bring me more money than, say, slogging my guts out for 7 or 8 hours a day ever would, right? So just by changing my perspective opens up my mind, opens up my perspective to believing something completely different to what I would have believed before, which opens me up to new, different options of how I can do things, right? How I can live my life, how I can run my business. Money is the root of all evil. That is such a huge pile of steaming crap, right? There are so many good people in the world doing good things with money, yourself included, right? If you donate to charity, if you give to money to people, like that is so good and so amazing, and you're so generous. Um, check in with your boundaries, right? Check in with your boundaries. Check in with yourself. Like, does giving this money, does gifting this money feel in alignment, or would it feel where does it feel better? Does it feel better keeping it or giving it away? If it feels better giving it away, why? Is that because it doesn't feel safe to be with me? Is it because I feel like that person needs it more than I do? Can I trust that everything is working out for them? Therefore, I don't need to give it to them this time. Money is not the root of all evil. Evil is the root of all evil. Okay. Money is a neutral resource. Money is a neutral resource. It is not good or bad. It's the choices that we make with it, the things that we do with it that are not so good and good. I just remember something popped into my head, right? When we look at nature, when we go outside, and even like this time of year when it's autumn, when it's fall, when the leaves are falling off the trees, we can see how abundant nature is, right? Nature doesn't stress out about whether the leaves are going to come back in spring. They always do. They always come back in spring. And abundance, looking at nature and tying it to abundance has really helped me feel more relaxed about money. It's really helped me feel more content with money. It's really helped me to see the goodness in money, because abundance is everywhere. Abundance is all over nature, and nature does not stress out about lack. Okay, so another limiting belief might be I'm a bad person, or I'm greedy if I want it, if I want more. Perhaps we have grown up in an environment where we have to be thrifty, or money or virtuous, right? The lack of money or not having much money is seen as being virtuous. Like, to suffer is to be virtuous, right? And that includes not having any money. So they say. Where that is fundamentally, is that your truth, right? Is that what you believe to be true about the world? Is that what you believe? Is that what you want to be true? Because I feel like our desires have been placed in us by source consciousness. Whatever your belief system is around life and the universe, right? Perhaps you believe in a God, perhaps you believe in source, perhaps you believe in the universe, perhaps you don't believe in those things, right? But I believe that our desires were put in us by a divine source, energy source, and that to want these things gives, oh, the cat started acting up because he wants food. For us to want these things means that the source consciousness will get to experience, right? Because that's all that consciousness wants. It wants to experience, it wants to grow, it wants to expand, it wants to grow. And by having these desires, by doing the things that we want to do, source can experience and grow its consciousness and expand. So that's what I believe to be true about the world and about myself and about money. What do you believe to be true? What do you want to believe to be true? So wanting more does not make us greedy, it does not make us bad. It means that we want to expand. We want to experience new things. We want to experience freedom, because that's all money is really at the end of the day. Money is freedom. Money gives us freedom. Money gives us freedom of choices. There's never enough. Just going back to that topic of nature, is that the fundamental truth? Is there never enough? Or is that just your experience? Is that what you've been saying over and over again, creating your own reality, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because if you say something over and over again, your subconscious mind scans your environment for reasons for it to be true. Your subconscious mind scans your environment for evidence to make your beliefs true. So are you just a self-fulfilling prophecy that because you've told yourself there's never enough, that's what your experience is? And once you can pull yourself out of that, once you can decide that that's no longer your fundamental truth, that you will experience something different, because your subconscious mind will start scanning for the evidence of that. There is always enough. There will always be enough. There has always been enough, but we have just been tapped into a different perspective that has been giving us a different outcome. Nature, there's always enough in nature. There's always enough leaves on the trees. There's always enough blades of grass. There's always enough sheep in the fields, right? Whatever it is, nature, flowers. Nature does not stress about not having enough. There's always more. It's always coming back. It dies down in the autumn, and it bounces back in the spring, because in the autumn it's just hibernating. It's just growing the seeds, germinating. It's getting ready. It's getting ready for spring, and then it explodes, because there's always enough. And the biggest one for me, which has been so challenging, is I don't know how to make more. I don't know where it's coming from. And to that, my fundamental truth that I have been working on is the how is not my job. The how is not my job. The how is not your job. How am I going to make more money? How am I going to make more money? How are we going to make more? How are you going to get more money? The how is not your job. The how is not my job. What is my job? My job is to transform my limiting beliefs, decide what my fundamental truth is, start believing that thing, and then my subconscious mind scans for the evidence. That includes opportunities, that includes random acts of kindness, that includes finding money on the street, that includes crashing your car and getting an insurance check that clears out your credit cards and your loan. Literally just happened to me. Freddie, come here. So I bought myself a car 7 months ago now, 8 months ago, February this year. First car in a decade. So excited. First time I was able to afford a car in a long time. After 10 years of public transport, stressful public transport. Oh man, public transport is so stressful for me because I'm ADHD and autistic, and I just was so overstimulated all the time, and I just really struggled. So managed to get disability allowance, bought myself a car with a disability allowance, and then driving around so happy and so in the zone, so aligned all the time, driving my car. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Someone crashed into me at a roundabout. Wasn't my fault, was their fault. They were at fault. And my car, my beautiful car that I'd spent months saving up for, that I had been waiting for my whole, for the past 10 years, was a write off. I was gutted, so gutted. And the last thing that I wanted to do was look for another car, because the stress and the anxiety of finding the car in the first place was challenging, super challenging. And I didn't want to go through that again. So I kept saying to myself, right, it's always working out for me. Everything is always working out for me. That's my fundamental belief right now in this moment. And it has been for a long time. I have postcards printed that say, everything is always working out for me. So, okay, don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to get fixed. I don't know what's going to happen, but I have to trust everything is always working out for me. It has to work out. It has to work out. At the same time, I've been saving like a crazy person to pay off my credit cards and a loan that I've had for quite some time, because before I worked with the coaching and the counseling, I worked in the entertainment industry as wardrobe and costume maker, seamstress for touring musicians, music shows, theatre, film, and television. And I was freelance, self-employed for about 15 years. Sometimes had a part-time job on the side, but most of the time was pretty much working like paycheck to paycheck. It was a very challenging existence. And I had racked up a lot of debt just living, just trying to live, like paying my rent, paying my bills. When there were months that no work was coming in, when no money was coming in, I would just put it all on my credit card. Little did I know back then that I had all these negative money beliefs and money perspectives, and I was my own self-fulfilling prophecy because of all that, right? So I had been dragging around all of this debt for years, decades, credit cards, loans, would never be able to pay them off. It would just go from balance transfer to getting out another credit card to pay off the loan, to get another loan to pay off the credit card, blah, 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 blah. It's going on and on and on and on. And this past year, I really want to get myself a house, a home, because I'm currently living in a rented apartment, a rented flat in Glasgow. And I love my flat, but I really want a garden and I really want to own my own property. So I have been like working on my own money stuff, right? Money is working out for me. I've been telling myself money is always working out for me. Everything is always working out for me. I don't know how I'm going to get my credit rating fixed. I don't know how I'm going to get my credit cards paid off. I don't know how I'm going to get this loan paid off. I don't know how I'm going to get my credit rating improved so I can get the mortgage, so I can get the house. I don't know how. I don't know how. But at the same time, the how is not my job. My job is to transform my limiting beliefs, change my brain chemistry, change how I feel about money, get more relaxed around money, detox my money perspective, my money beliefs, so that I feel better about it, right? And once I feel better about it, I'm becoming the self-fulfilling prophecy within myself is creating different external experience, because my subconscious mind is scanning my environment for new evidence of what I believe to be true. Well, I got my insurance payout for the car that was more than what I paid for the car, which was awesome. And I got to keep the car. I got to buy the car back at like 10% of the price because it was just getting scrapped. The car is still drivable. The only thing that was wrong with the car that made it a write-off was the fact that it's like the backside panel of the car is dented, and that would cost more to fix than the car is worth. The car is drivable, the car is safe, the car is all good, just has a dent in it, and I'm gonna try and get someone to fix that for me. But I was with the insurance money, with the insurance payout, I was able to pay off my credit cards, plural. I was able to pay off my loan, and I had some money left over in the bank to just look at and enjoy and be like, oh my God, it feels like such relief having money there for the first time ever, right? I didn't know how I was going to be able to do that stuff. I and at the time when I had that car accident, I was so upset and so distraught because I'd spent so long saving for this car and working towards getting this car, and then this happened. It was like the car's going to get taken away from me. I've only had the car 6 months at that time. So stressful, so anxiety inducing. But now when I look back at it, I'm like, oh, okay, fair enough. Like, I didn't know how I was going to get the money to pay off all this debt so that I can get a mortgage to get my own place. But now it's happened. I'm like, okay, okay. So we don't know how. We can't know how. We can't know how it's going to happen. There's an infinite number of ways that money can come to us, right? An infinite number of ways. And when we try and think about how the money might be able to come to us or how the thing will happen, then we're just we're narrowing it. We're missing the point because there's an infinite number of ways. So spending some time looking at your limiting beliefs on money, your toxic money beliefs. What do you believe to be true about money? What do you want to be true about money? What is your fundamental truth? You get to decide what your fundamental truth about money is. I seem to get mixed up in a cycle somewhere between both ends of the spectrum, i.e., believing that there's always going to be enough somehow, giving it or spending it, making ends meet, and repeating it. Yeah, totally. So you've got a little bit of split energy there. So split energy is when you want something, but you don't at the same time. Like you want something, but it's not safe to have. Okay, so the way that we transform split energy is by thinking about what is the worst thing that could happen if I keep the thing, if I keep the money. I'm trying to think, when I did it last with a client, I got a piece of paper and I split it into 4. Let's see if I can remember how I did this. So we have the split, right? We have there's always enough, and then I never have enough. So there's always enough, and I never have enough. So what we want to do is we want to think about the positive and negative aspects of both of those things. I think that's how we did it. Is that how we did it? Okay, so the positive aspects of there's always enough would be like I looking for evidence that that is true, right? There's always enough because I always have enough in my bank account. There's always more coming in. I'm always getting my paycheck, X, Y, and Z. But sorry, the cat's purring. I don't know if you can hear me sitting on my lap purring in the microphone. The negative aspects of there's always enough would be, what would they be? Is that how I did it? Is that how we did it? I honestly can't remember. What would be the worst thing that could happen if you were to keep the money, right? Scrap that thing I just said because I'm going to come back to it. I'm going to think about what I did. I've got it written down somewhere. I'm going to check my notes from a previous coaching session, and I will share with you what I did to get to the split, to get through the split energy. But right now, what would be the worst thing that could happen if you were to keep the money, right? If you were to keep the money, what would be the worst thing that could happen? Does it feel unsafe? If it feels unsafe, why? How does keeping money feel unsafe, or what is it about the money? What is it that that is making you want to give it away? Because until we can break the pattern of the cycle, then it's not going to end, right? The cycle's not going to end, because you're just repeating the cycle again, right? It's the split energies, believing that everything's going to work out for you and there's always going to be enough, but then also at the same time believing the complete opposite of that, that something bad might happen and there's never going to be enough. So it's that split energy. What would be the worst thing that could happen if I was to keep the money, or if I was to retain the money? Does it feel unsafe to keep the money? And then deciding, is that my fundamental truth? Is that what I want to believe to be true? Can I believe something different? Is it possible for me to believe something different? Okay. So when we have looked at our limiting beliefs, and we have reframed them, right? When we have decided that we want to believe something different, when we've decided that we can believe something different, right? We might get to a point where we think that it's not safe to believe something different. It's not safe to believe something different because I might get judged, or I might get bullied, or a family member might, or a friend might reject me, or leave me, or because of the money that I have, or whatever. If that was to happen, then are they a beneficial person to be around? And I would obviously never tell anyone to not speak to people, or to not have a relationship with someone, but it's always beneficial and always helpful to know that we don't owe anyone anything, and that it can be safe for us to set boundaries. It is safe for us to accept that around some people we have to present not a different version of ourselves, but like what's the word? We're selective, right? We are selective about the version of ourselves that we bring to this relationship, right? And it sucks and it's hard, because we want to be our true selves with everyone, but not everyone's ready for that. Not everyone can accept that. Not everyone can, because we trigger, right? We might trigger other people with our fabulousness and our truth, and that is, Okay, anyway, so we are looking at our limiting beliefs, and we have decided what is our fundamental truth. We've reframed it. We've decided that, okay, this limiting belief that I've been carrying around for decades is bullshit, right? I do not want to carry this limiting belief around with me anymore. So I'm deciding something different. I'm deciding something new. We have to take that information and keep plugging it in, keep saying it over and over and over again. And this is where things like affirmations and words and sayings come in so handy. Things like, everything is always working out for me, and money is always working out for me, and I am always supported. Money comes to me easily and effortlessly. Things like, money is always there. Money supports me. I am supported by money. I think I already said that. I don't know if I did or not. So we use these affirmations, we use these words to get it into our emotional body, because many of us perhaps don't have the experiences, right, that we want to have. Like, we might not have the experience that everything is always working out for us. I'm sure that you could find, if you really thought about it and that you really looked, and if you really looked into it, you could find evidence that something has worked out for you in the past. And then you can use that evidence to prove that everything is always working out for you. Is there a piece of evidence in your memory in the past of money working out for you? Can you use that experience as evidence that money is always working out for you? That just because you have been thinking about and been practicing the perspective of the opposite, that money's not working out for you, that's all you've been creating, right? You've been creating the evidence and the reality that the opposite is true. But from this moment onward, it's possible for you to decide something different, right? It's possible for you to change your mind. It's possible for you to think that maybe money can work out for me. Maybe money is always working out for me. Can you come to feel safe and secure reviewing your bank accounts, your finances, your bills, right? Whether that means every time you get a bill and you're saying thank you to the bill, you're writing thank you over the bill, and you're paying it with thanks and with gratitude, because I feel like gratitude and appreciation are so powerful. Appreciation literally means like, increasing in value, right? That's what appreciation means. So when you start to appreciate things around you, your life, the things that you have start to appreciate. Your bank account starts to appreciate, right? If I can appreciate my bank account will start to appreciate me, for sure. Can you use like budgeting apps and things? Can you use budgeting apps? I use a budgeting app called Emma, and I don't know, is it called Emma? Yes, it's called Emma. And I have a link that I'm going to post in the chat, and I'll also post it in the description. And it's for 30 days of Emma for free. And I don't know if it's just available in the UK or if it is a global app, but I'm finding it really helpful. You can combine all of your bank accounts and your finances into one, and then do a budget. And I'm not a fan on restriction. I don't agree really align with restriction, but I do align with getting to know your finances and practicing feeling safe looking at your bank account, and using a budgeting app or using an app where you can see everything and you know what's coming in and going out might be less stressful than going into your banking app or whatever. So I'll put that there. Feel free to check that out and have a look at it. Something that we have to know or decide is, what do you want, right? What do you want? What do you want to experience in life? What do you want to experience in your life, right? If you want more money, why do you want more money? What do you want to experience with the money, right? What do you want? Because sometimes if we give money a reason to show up, then it shows up, right? Like, I really want a house. I really want to buy myself a house. I want to have a garden. That's what I want. What do you want? Maybe you don't want something as crazy as that. What do you want? Do you want to have trips? Do you want to go abroad? Do you want to treat your family? Do you want to put your kids into I don't know, an after school club? Do you want to be able to treat your loved ones with gifts? What do you want? What do you want in life? What do you want? Decide what you want. Make a list of what you want. Go through that list and give yourself all the reasons why you deserve to have that thing, right? If you can think of any limiting beliefs around why you can't have that thing, do what I just told you to do, and decide what your fundamental truth is. Decide what the truth of having that thing is. What do you want? Decide what you want. What steps can you make to get the thing that you want? Right? If you want more money, to do a thing. Maybe you just want more money because you want more money, right? Because it would feel nice to have more cash in the bank. What steps can you take to have more cash in the bank? Can you invest? Like, do you have enough to maybe put some in a savings account once a week or once a month, a high interest savings account? Do you have an idea for a product, like an online course or something that you can talk about on social media? Do you have an idea for a creative project that you could bring to the world, but you don't know how to start it? So maybe a little Google search is in order. What steps can you take to do what you want, to get what you want? And can you keep yourself accountable? Can you trust yourself? Can you let yourself have what you want? Can you keep your mind right? Can you practice? Can you give yourself grace if you fall or if you fail, right? If you slide back into those negative habits, those toxic money habits, or those toxic money beliefs, can you give yourself grace and forgiveness? Because you're a human being and we're not AI robots yet. So, can you give yourself a little bit of grace and forgiveness to get back on the horse, right? To get back on the thinking and the feeling the way that you want it? Can you give yourself time? Can you commit to yourself? Can you give yourself consistency and practice of thinking the way and believing the thing and feeling the way, feeling abundant, feeling safe around money? Can you give yourself that as a huge, huge gift? Because I know that you're worth it, you're worthy of it. You can have it. There's not a stone tablet anywhere or a dude up in the sky on a cloud saying that you cannot have what you want because of this thing that you did or this thing that you didn't do or X, Y, and Z. That doesn't exist. So if you can have whatever you want, then go get it, right? Just go do it. Why? Why can't you do it? Just do it. Just do the thing. Just get the thing. Just do it. Just believe you can do it, right? Just do it. Like I said to a friend last night, Yoda says, do or do not. There is no try. Okay? Do the thing. Or don't do the thing. It's all good. Do the thing or don't do the thing. Okay. That was toxic money habits and how we can transform our finances and tap into abundance. Before we finish, I want to just take a couple of minutes, right? I want you to take both your hands. If it's safe for you to do so, place them in the center of your chest. Close your eyes. Take a few nice deep breaths in and out. And I want you to imagine, if you can sit back in your chair, I want you to imagine that you're sitting on a throne of money. You're sitting on a throne of money, and it could be like gold bullion, it could be gold bars, it could be stacks of notes. It could be coins. You're sitting on a throne of money, a throne of wealth, and it's comfortable. Maybe the throne is covered with silk cushions, so comfy, so comfortable, and it's easy for you to relax there. Breathe in and breathe out. And it's yours. It's all yours. And if you feel any resistance or any uncomfortable feelings whilst you sit in this throne money that belongs to you, this money throne, then that's your work. That's what you've got to do. You've got to determine why you feel that way and what is your fundamental truth. And if not, just relax onto that money throne because it's yours. Okay. Right. Thank you so much for joining me on this Sacred Sunday Detox session. Next week, we'll be talking about something else. We'll be detoxing something else. And I have a feeling we might detox technology or relationships or something. So if you have any ideas, pop a comment in the bottom of this video with an idea of what you would like to detox from. And if you would like any support If you would like any guidance or any coaching or counseling around confidence, mental health, and your physical health, then please book a consultation with me. And I'm going to put my consultation link in the chat box just now, but I'll also put it in the description of the video as well. So you can click there if you'd like to book a consultation with me, or click the link in the description. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. I hope it's super relaxing. Thank you so much for joining me. Yay! You're so welcome. I'll speak to you soon, and I'll see you this time, 4 o'clock UK time next week. Lots of love. Bye.